Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your captain speaking. So this morning, I'm going to talk a lot about something I've never mentioned on an airplane, which is failure. And all of you have worked really, really hard and very, very diligently, at least for most days, to be where you are here today, and that's what makes you special. But I'm guessing that along the way of many times that things have gone well for you, you've also come to realize that there are no guarantees in life. And there are a lot of times when you fail. And we don't talk enough about it. So I'm going to help you kind of walk through this journey of some failures along my life and what I kind of learned from. So let's go back in time. I'm 10 years old. I'm in class 5. And I was not very good at Hindi, and I really was bad at Sanskrit. But Sanskrit was one of the languages that I had to learn in school in class 5. And this is my second term exam, and the report card comes, and I failed. That's the first time I had failed an exam in school. And I'm going back home with this report card, and I'm just wondering, how am I going to tell my parents? And I'm embarrassed. But then, I'm going to skip through what happened at home that afternoon. But over the next few months, with a lot of help from some others, an aunt of mine, a teacher, I kind of worked really, really hard. And guess what? Final exams, I got a 25 out of 25. Yeah. But that's not what I want you to focus on. What I want you to focus on one of the first lessons I learned in failure, which is that, when we fail, which we do, the first thing that happens to us is we start thinking about what others will say. What would my parents say? What would my friends be looking at? And we get all embarrassed, and we either start hiding our failure or we don't want to talk about it. But what happens is that we forget that what others say about us is kind of irrelevant. Because there are two groups of people. Some, irrespective of how well you did, will say something not so nice about you behind your back. And there'll be others who will be your loved ones and who will be like, look, it's all right, beta, don't worry about it, it's all right, it happens to everyone. Both of them are irrelevant because what you really need to do when you fail at something is to really own that, focus on yourself and not anybody else around you, and go back and work at it and try to figure out how could I have done something differently so that at the next attempt you get a better outcome than what you had originally thought. So that was my first. Few years later, 5 years later, actually no, 7 years later, this is my class 12 board exam. And I was an above average student, but I was not topping the class. And the most difficult subject that I was really almost scared of was physics. It's funny that I spent a lifetime in the airline business, which has a lot to do with physics and how to get a plane up in the sky. But anyway, but the good thing was that I had 5 days of study leave before my class 12 physics exam. So the most number of days before my exam, so I was all set. I'm going to now study for those 5 days, and I don't know if I'm going to ace the exam or not, but I'm going to do really well. I had a nice room, a small little study room with a big window next to my desk, but there was also a big block of temptation in that room. There's a big bookshelf, a bookcase, and I had all these books that I wanted to read. And one of them was this book called Born Identity. So I say to myself, you know what, I'm going to start reading a little bit, and every day, just take a break, I'm going to read a little bit. Just so that I'm not overwhelmed with studying for physics, my physics exam, and I'm going to just take a break. Guess what? Started reading it, first chapter, the second, and the third, and the fourth. And by the fourth day night, eve of my class 12 board exams, I have not studied a word of physics. And now I'm panicking. Anyway, I stayed up the whole night, pulled an all-nighter, I don't know what I did, I scrambled, I passed my class. But you know what? Nobody knows what I was doing in that closed room. Because my second lesson was that your biggest auditor is not anybody else. Your biggest auditor is not your class monitor or your teacher or your boss or your parent. Our biggest auditor is the person staring back at us in the mirror. That person in the mirror always knows where we cheated. Not cheated anybody else, but cheated ourselves from that opportunity of being the very best that we can be and everything we do every day. And I certainly know where I cheated on those 5 things. Fast forward many years. This is a picture from a few days before I actually for the first time met Mr. Ayush very well for the first time. This is actually, I met him at the end of July in 2018. This is a picture from early July of 2018. I had then gone on to do a bunch of different things, run an airline, and ran it for 10 years. And I had actually announced that I'm going to resign from that airline, and I had no idea what I'm going to do next. And this is a break that I'm taking with a very close friend of mine. He's not in the picture, he's the one taking the picture, the actor Rahul Bose. So this is up in the hills of Kasauli. We were staying at Rahul's home, and that gentleman in the cap is somebody who was a very senior journalist. He had retired by then. He was in his mid-60s, struggling with cancer at that time, but a really spirited person. So this is that's the little cabin where he lives, and this is where we're sitting on the evening. The sun is coming down, beautiful setting, and I'm kind of feeling that relief of shedding this big responsibility of running the country's largest airline. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but it'll be something exciting. And this gentleman says something very interesting. And he says, Aditya, don't be a prisoner of your past achievements. That's the reality. But then a minute later, I realized that I didn't quite understand what he just said. I said, I'm sorry, what did you mean? He says, look, you run the country's largest airline, you're in the front page of the newspaper every day, you got all these awards, you're in Fortune 500 and Forbes magazine and all of those kind of things. Chances are that you want to do the next thing which will be bigger and better. I said, yeah, absolutely. He says, that's exactly what you should not do. Because if you're going to keep thinking that my next thing is going to be even bigger and better and nothing else, you'll be so afraid of failure that chances are that you're not going to take a risk. You're going to go down that beaten trodden path, and you're going to end up doing the same thing all over again because you want a greater degree and a greater probability of success. Go back to thinking on that first day when you took on that job at the airline, you had no idea about whether it's going to be successful or not, but you attempted it with that honesty of purpose and put in all that hard work into it. So often in life, we get so caught up with that of success that we do not that risk of it. But as long as you really enjoy that, put in your heart and soul into it, and who knows, you might get an outcome above and beyond even thought that you deserve. So that was my next lesson of how to get comfortable with the fact. Years later, and short in Maldives. Time he was 10, he really wanted to learn how to dive. He wanted to go to scuba diving. Because he had done a little bit of snorkeling, his mother does diving, he really wanted to do scuba diving. That was the minimum age limit before you got to go and get your. Went off with this group of kids all the way to Maldives. And like an anxious father. In the water. Third day, night, I'm calling him and I'm trying to find out, so example, and he very coolly says to me that, oh, actually, I failed that exam. So I didn't. Again tomorrow. When I was 11 years old, thinking about my Sanskrit exam, I wasn't that confident about failing an exam. So anyway, I just kept quiet. Said that's all right. He can always go. And I don't know whether I should ask him. I mean, did you do that exam? He said, yeah, I did. I taught the class. He wasn't afraid of telling me that he had failed, and neither is his chest. He gets a certification. Was how, again, to be confident that it happens. Doesn't mean you're try it all over again next time. But not get so caught up with the reality of the fact that you failed an exam to not start thinking about having the fact that you can do it better next time. Kenya, you must let the lion king come alive. When you walk around jungles in India, there are trees and bushes and you can't see the animals. In Kenya, in Masai Mara, you can see and you can see a deer, you can see, And somewhere in the jungle, even today, this morning, there's also a lioness and says, if she doesn't run and hunt, she's going to die of hunger. So what you have to remember is to succeed, whether you're a hero or not, and whether you're a because yesterday is a brand. Your biggest competition is not anybody else sitting around you. Your biggest competition is not a classmate. It is a marathon. And just like anybody who's done running, I've done a half once, do a little bit of running, is to know when to conserve your energy and when to speed up. And the more slow down and conserve your energy, waiting once in a while opportunities when you've got to really, really sprint out. The biggest learning I've had in life is to know actually there is nothing called failure. What happens is we see and the outcome is something different. Take it as failure. On the other hand, if you look at it as a journey where we say, oh, this did not turn out to be the way I thought it would be. And once in a while, the outcome would be even better than what you had expected. So, what I figured out, I never say failure is my friend. It will be a companion. So thank you for having me here. Stay safe. Don't forget to smile. And most importantly, remember that was that you had a dream in your eyes. And everything you do every day that you had. And as long as you remember that there's once in a Thank you. Thank you.